So as soon as I tell myself this is going to be a difficult discussion, what I've done now is I've brought that energy into this discussion. And then the person feels it, like guaranteed, subtly or otherwise, they feel it. Now they're uncomfortable, and then you're triggering their defenses even before you open your mouth.
So, Andy, this topic of handling difficult discussions and your approach to it, well, first, handling difficult discussions is difficult, right? It's right.
No, that's the whole point. There's no difficult discussions.
Wow. I mean, it seems like what you're setting up in this is prepare yourself for failure, right?
Yeah.
Is that, am I getting that right or no?
It's funny. It's prepare myself to be okay with whatever the outcome is. And settle like any baggage I might be bringing into the interaction. What I've seen is that it goes back to an earlier chapter when we were looking at the system drawings where it said, my behavior triggers another behavior and then that reinforces itself. So as soon as I tell myself this is going to be a difficult discussion, what I've done now is I've brought that energy into this discussion. And then the person feels it, like guaranteed, subtly or otherwise, they feel it. Now they're uncomfortable, and then you're triggering their defenses even before you open your mouth. So the whole endeavor, let's say, is to say, wow, what if I reframe it? And I say, this isn't a difficult discussion. It's a discussion where potentially there won't be a match. Potentially what I need and what you need won't be present. And if I allow myself to say, I'm okay if there's not a match, in your initial question, like, are you preparing for failure? I'm not preparing for failure as much as I'm making peace with the outcome before I go into the meeting. And I see it more of, is there a match for both of us, and less of, oh, now I have to have a difficult discussion with this person.
Okay, because originally I was thinking you were potentially leading people down this path of catastrophizing. All the things that can go wrong, so I'm prepared for if any of them go wrong, then it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And it sounds, that's not your intention. Your intention is more of building a space to explore and test, to see if how this might work.
Yes.
And also be like, okay, maybe it doesn't, but let's see what we can get out of this. Is
that's true. But to your point, which is also true, part of it is the exercise we did of self-love. So to prepare for the difficult discussion meeting, or where I would rather call potential no match discussion, then what I would do is I'd make peace with all of the things that are triggering me about that person. So I hate this person, and it's okay. I hate this person. They're never going to agree with anything I have to say. It's okay. So I allow all those voices to settle. So I'm not preparing myself for catastrophe. I'm allowing myself to make peace with that in myself so I don't bring it into the meeting.
But here's another curiosity question.
Yeah.
If I say to myself, the person isn't going to listen to me, and that's okay. And
yeah.
The meeting, it might not go great, and that's okay. It seems like, why even have it?
Yeah, well, the humor is that by saying that and not making peace with it, I'm creating it. So you say it's okay because by saying it, it's less likely that it's going to happen. If I'm priming myself that you're not going to listen, everything I say is going to, on some subtle level, create that reality. So what I'm saying is letting that voice be okay means now I can meet you in a way that you're more likely to see me.
But did you ever worry that, I know me, going into a meeting, if I went, well, the person isn't going to listen to me, the meeting's probably going to be bad. I'm just going to get irritated.
The way you're doing it is already suspect.
Yeah. And what I'm doing is I'm going, look, if I have to accept all this is okay, why not just change the conditions and not have the meeting? And just call up and go, look, I don't think this is going to work.
Yeah.
Why do I even want to have this meeting? Because I'm now being forced to think of all the bad things that could happen that then make it so that I got to accept they're okay when maybe I just change the conditions and I just don't even do it. Right?
That's also always a possibility, right? I don't want to say, hey, you should have that meeting. What I would say is that if you make peace with all those thoughts before you go in, the likelihood you're going to connect is much higher. And if you connect, the likelihood that the outcome is better is also more likely. So I'm always laughing because one, again, doesn't realize how they create the drama in their life. It goes back to personal responsibility. So when I decided that I would no longer let all of my drama impact how I was interacting with someone, that was me taking responsibility. So how I do that in difficult discussions is what I now suggest, is just make peace with those things that are lingering, the judgment I have towards that other person, so that when I show up, that judgment isn't hampering our ability to connect.
Right.
It's personal responsibility in how I experience it.
Okay. Have you ever seen any side outcomes to this that came up that you didn't expect to this process?
When you say side outcomes, like...
I mean, like you were going through this process and you were doing this stuff, and then stuff came out of it that you didn't expect to come out of it, but it did because of the process you were following.
Oh, it happens all the time. In being that open, there's things you would have never known that were also going on because a person is vulnerable with you. I mentioned in one of the prior videos that I was in this discussion where they needed to separate, right? It wasn't working, and I was brought in. It was very connected, but in the connection and going through what would have been potentially a difficult discussion, all of us, as I mentioned, were in tears. So we're all in tears of gratitude. Can you imagine? You really are frustrated with, everyone was frustrated with everybody. And in spite of all that frustration, they showed up. I mean, I could get emotional because that I had to share in that meeting, this is what I do my work for, is that even in the most difficult moments, we don't need to disconnect. And we don't disconnect by taking personal responsibility that it isn't working for me. And that isn't because of you, it's because of me. I can't make peace with things that you do, and that's my responsibility. But the fact I can't just means we can't be together. And that doesn't mean I don't love you, it just means we can't be together. And I mean, there's the insincere thing, like when someone breaks up in a relationship and they say, it's not me, it's not you, it's me. Yeah, it's not that. It's a heartfelt understanding that there are things in my life that I haven't been able to make peace with, and that's okay. And apparently we just can't make this work between us. Love doesn't go away, judgment softens, and we still separate, but there's still a fondness for whatever they may have actually been teaching us even about ourselves. So.
Great, interesting. Thank you.